come check out the Connection Games and Comics. We have the largest selection of War Machine and Hordes miniatures in the Lower Mainland. War Machine Wednesdays and Sundays, with tables and terrain to play your game.
Trollkin Champions, where we're going to discuss the Trollbloods All-in-One Battle Box. All-in-One Army Box. I don't know why I said Battle Box, but All-in-One Army Battle Box.
Do you want to do that again?
No, I like this.
Okay. Alright then.
So this is actually one of the boxes I've been really excited about because...
Fap every day, fap every night.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with this.
I'm sure it does. I mean, come on, Grissel, man.
It's just a terrible name too, Grissel. Like
it really is. I mean, like, Bloodsong isn't any better.
That is not any better. Okay. Anyway, so this is a box I've been particularly excited about, especially considering the contents. The contents are disgusting.
I thought that's why you were excited about it.
I wanted to try out Trolls. Like, I wanted to play Trolls a little bit and see how they went. And then we saw what was in the box, and we've been talking about. We talked about this actually at length. That we could have recorded and didn't.
That was before we had the channel going, though.
Yeah, that's true. We were talking about this before the channel started up, and yeah, wow, like this box is something else. For any Trollblood, anybody who's interested in starting Trollbloods, this is the go-to start for sure. And we'll get into why and some of these models here in a minute, but. I guess what we'll do is we'll talk about the Warcaster first, and then we can kind of relate that to the rest of the army.
Warlock.
Warnoun.
Warlock. Grissel Bloodsong is a strong and independent troll woman. She is a warlock, and she don't need no man. I don't even think the camera can see that. Okay.
Well, why don't you lead us in with our Warlock, and then we can discuss how everything's more bitchin' with her.
Okay, so, I mean, because this is a Hordes faction, you're going to have a smaller spell list by default, just because you have Animi to work with as spells. Grissel is a 5 Warjack, or War Beast point Warlock. She's a 6 Fury Warlock, which is fairly typical for Hordes and Trollbloods in general. She has a reasonable melee weapon. She's tough. She has a sonic blast that she does a cone. She screams so loud that it hurts.
I do want to mention one thing about the Warlock being tough. Is that there's nothing that makes somebody saltier than when you kill their Warlock, except they actually just get back up. It's hilarious.
Yeah, especially if you do it more than once in a turn.
Yeah.
So anyway, Grissel Bloodsong is a Fel Caller. There's other Fel Callers in the Troll faction, but I think this is the only Warlock version. In general, it just means that she can sing a song every turn. These Fel Calls, as they are, can only affect... friendly model unit can only be affected by one Fel Call. So if, hypothetically, you had 2 models in the army that did the same Fel Call, that did multiple Fel Calls, you could still only put one of them on each. So she has the choice of doing 3 of them, 1 of 3, to a single unit within her command range, and her command range is 9, so it's pretty good. So the first one is Cacophony, which actually doesn't affect friendly models. While in this model's command range, enemy models and units can't give or receive orders and can't cast spells. The casting spells part is less relevant. It can be relevant, but giving or receiving orders is what allows you to charge, allows you to run, allows you to do things like assault.
Aim.
Aiming isn't.
No,
it's forfeiting. It's just forfeiting your movement.
Okay.
There's also specific orders that certain models or units can be given, like the Arcane Inferno or for the Gun Mages.
Okay.
So that's her first call. Her second one is Heroic Ballad, which gives a non-friendly, it gives a friendly non-Warlock faction model or unit Fearless and an extra melee attack during that turn. So they can make 2 attacks if they normally have 1, 3 attacks if they normally have 2. I think everyone knows how to add.
Math is hard, but that's amazing.
It's pretty good, yeah, especially for like larger units of strong models like this box has.
Yeah. Now, to be fair though, this only affects 1 unit.
Yes.
Okay, so that's important to know.
And her third call is Hoof It, which gives full advance at the end of this turn for 1 friendly non-Warlock faction model or unit. And can't be affected by free strike. So this allows you to move a 1 unit further in at the end of your turn, or pull out at the end of your turn.
Okay.
At the end of its activation, rather. Her weapon has critical smite. That's not a huge deal. But her spell list is pretty good. She has a debuff, a range 8 debuff that gives friendly models +2 to attack and damage rolls against the debuffed enemy model or unit.
Okay, so she kind of works by herself, kind of like as what's that merc unit? The two of them.
Oh, Ion and Hull.
There you go.
Yeah,
like
although
Kiss of Lilith. So
she has to hit off of her Fury 6 stat, and it costs her 3 focus, 3 Fury to do that.
Now that's against a single target or unit?
Model or unit, yeah.
Okay, so that's interesting though, because in addition to that, like that's on top of the potential extra attack that they can get.
Right, although that is short range, so like you're only going to get that reliably in on something that you're probably going to win the game after you do that, or like you have to kill it, otherwise it might threaten Grissel.
Yeah, but I mean, like let's take, if you take a Colossal, for example, getting an extra 2 damage on that plus an extra attack.
Yes,
it's a big deal.
Yeah, and it's also +2 to attack rolls, so it can help hit things that are high defense and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah. When you get to some of these other units, like they already, a lot of them have high attack already. Mm-hmm. So if you're starting to hit like Mat 9, braining something isn't that hard.
So she's also wow. So she's also got Rift, which is again an AoE spell that leaves behind Rift terrain. Not really an interesting spell, but something that is worthwhile to note. Maybe 1 in 10 or 20 games you'll cast it to some good effect. Her third spell is Hallowed Avenger, which is a buff for a War Beast. And basically it gets to take revenge if your troops are killed.
Okay.
So it gets to charge an enemy model at the beginning of your maintenance.
Oh, nice.
Actually, sorry, that's immediately after the attack is resolved.
Okay. That's so good, because like this box really punishes people for attacking anything in it.
Well, yeah, I mean, like you're not gonna lose stuff because your models are ridiculously tough, also. But yeah, I mean, like that's Mauler getting pissed off and going in and ripping your face off for killing.
Yeah. Well, the
Rando.
Well, we'll get to the Mauler after this, but
her feat is really important. It's very simple, although it's extremely long worded on the card. In essence, she just does all of her fel calls at once. And to everyone in your control area.
Oh, so that's massive.
It's disgusting because your guys get to move extra at the end of their activations. They're fearless. They get to make an extra melee attack. Enemy models can't cast spells or receive orders within 9 inches first. So like it's a huge thing for that one turn.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you can't double up. So like you can't get this and the effect of one of her fel calls. She just doesn't do the fel call.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Well, because that would be disgusting.
Well, it's already disgusting.
It's already good, but that would be disgusting.
So she really, I mean, herself, she's relatively powerful herself. Like she can get in a decent amount of damage. She's got 6 Fury. I think she's relatively tough. She's kind of middle of the road as far as
defense 15, armor 16. She's a little bit hard to hit, but
okay.
I mean, you hit her and she folds.
But her ability to get damage out there's pretty huge. And in this box, you get infantry units like Warders. So I'll go over what these guys do because they are disgustingly awesome.
Pretty good.
This box actually, a lot of what's contained in this box is also contained in the Miserable Meat Mountain tournament list. So it's won events and stuff like that. It's a very, very strong force. And the reason why that is because it's incredibly difficult to get enough damage on the table to take this army to a point where it's not effective anymore. Like everything in the army except for maybe the Krielstone bears, which you have to deal with or it's going to take you forever, are threatening. And the reason why that is because they're super tough, they're very high mat, and okay, let's go to the Warders actually just specifically. We've got 8 boxes apiece, there's 5 guys, and they've got Reach, Weapon Master, they're only POW 10s, but like with +2 damage and additional attacks. And
even a POW 10 Weapon Master is still pretty strong already.
So on the charge you're getting 4 dice. If you've got Kiss down, you've got +2 damage.
It's not Kiss.
Or whatever, you know what I mean. If you've got the song up, you've got...
extra attack with the song.
Extra attack with the song. What's the...
Calamity.
Thank you. And Calamity up, you're like hitting POW 12 Weapon Master with 2 attacks boosted. The first one's boosted, the second one wouldn't be. There's just an incredible amount of damage for these guys to get out, and they're armor 17 with 8 boxes. So
armor 17 baseline. Yeah,
with 8 boxes as well as tough. Trying to take them down is hard. And let's say you have something that you can get out enough damage to significantly hurt these guys. As soon as you start hurting them, they get +2 strength and armor as well as Pathfinder. So not only do they become tougher and stronger, they then also become more maneuverable. So you're left with the option, well, if I shoot the warders, they can now charge over terrain to get me. They've got reach, so their charge is a pretty decent threat range for a slow unit. And if I don't shoot them, they're going to come over there and beat the hell out of me anyway. So how do you manage that? And then that's just the one unit. So they're not even that expensive. They're like 8 points per unit of 5 guys, which for heavy or like big fat infantry is pretty cheap.
For heavy infantry, that's a steal. It's a downright steal.
So then you're thinking, okay, well, they're pretty threatening. They can tie people up. They're just a fantastic unit. Let's enter in with the champions, who are similar but slightly different.
Yeah, basically, they're essentially the same thing as the warders. The stat lines are almost identical. Yeah, the stat lines are almost identical, aside from Trollkin Champions having 1 less armor. They're both weapon masters, so if you do get the damage in, it's gonna hurt really bad. And these guys are also a 5-man unit, but they're a little more expensive. They're 10 points for the entire unit.
They also lack reach. They don't have reach.
Yes.
On the other hand, they each have 2 weapons.
Yes.
So they, by default, get 2 attacks instead of the 1.
Well,
so
exactly.
different but the same. But it's just benefits all around.
Mm-hmm.
And then the only really special ability they have is defensive line. And while these models are base to base with one or more models in this unit, they gain +2 armor.
Okay.
So
I also think they're slightly faster.
they are speed 5, right?
Yeah,
Warders
so they're
speed 4?
faster.
Okay.
Yeah, they're slightly faster.
So I mean, there you go. You've got the champions who again still have 8 boxes apiece. If they get hit, they've got defensive line. So they go up to armor 18 rather than 16.
That's not if they get hit. That's just
just
general.
Oh, in general.
Yeah,
Okay.
as long as they're base to base with each other.
Oh, right. Okay. So they seem to be less tough than warders, but they're kind of tougher.
It's also worth noting that both of these units are fearless.
Yeah.
For the times that matters.
They don't have reach, which is fine, but they get that extra attack. So now all of a sudden you're looking at this box going, well, okay, the warders were scary, but these guys get more attacks. What the hell do I do, right? And you have to pump out a huge amount of damage. Even like your POW 16s from like the defender we talked about in the Signar box.
POW 15.
POW 15. That's not going to kill one.
No.
And let's say you happen to get a good roll, you've got all the damage in, and they make their tough roll. It's really hard to deal with multiple fat units like that.
Especially when you have a Krielstone bearer.
I was going to say, but what could make that better? How can we make it even harder to get those off the board?
Well, friends and compatriots, you can get yourself a Krielstone bearer in Stone Scribes, which you should have in almost any troll list.
And they come in the box!
They do come in the box. The only complaint I have is that the UA for these guys doesn't come in the box. And you can reduce the unit to a 4-man unit and get the UA to replace it and still run that. Although that's not necessarily the best idea. But the Krielstone bearers, they serve as a Fury Vimp. And you don't really care about that for the purposes of taking Fury so much. Essentially, your Warlock can dump Fury on them, and Grissel almost certainly will, on the first turn, dump at least 4 Fury into the vault. During its activation, the unit leader can spend a Fury point to activate the Protective Aura, which gives everything in a rather large bubble +2 armor. So these tough units we've been talking about, I mean tough both literally and figuratively, not only them, but your Warlock, your War Beasts as well, and anything else you might have. I believe it's restricted to faction models, but that's about it. Yeah, it's friendly faction models. Furthermore, it's just the Krielstone bearer that has this ability, but he has self-sacrifice. So if he's disabled by an enemy attack, you can choose a non-disabled model to take the hit instead. Yeah. Which you should do in every circumstance.
Yeah. Well, and then so does it do anything aside from the armor buff? Just
without the UA, no.
Okay.
With the UA, it would have additional effects. But
do they matter really?
They do actually in certain cases.
So what are the other things?
With the UA, you can the aura gives either +1 strength, immunity to continuous effects or one other ability that I'm forgetting, but is actually relevant.
Now, does that stack with the armor thing, or is it separate?
It's like Protective Aura also does this.
Oh wow. Okay. Well,
I believe the third one is an enemy debuff, but
so
it's still good.
You really kind of want to try and find a way to get that in there if you can.
Yeah, I mean, like, you can play this list as is with this, and it's just totally fine. But when you move to 50 points, you throw in the UA, or I find you and punch you in the face.
Also, I mean, like, with this box, I wouldn't change anything if you're going to play against other people with these boxes, because this is already going to be a beating. Like,
yeah, this is one of, if not the best box we've reviewed so far.
Yeah,
possibly the best one that exists.
And it's so strong. It's not even. It's straightforward how you use it. Go forward.
Yeah.
Like,
the main challenge in playing this box compared to other boxes is that the Krielstone especially makes you want to brick up, which is to say, move all of your models in a small, tight formation on the table, because the Krielstone's area of effect is 4 inches plus 1 for each Fury point on the model.
okay.
So, assuming it had 4, which I believe it can have 4. Yeah, so it can have up to 1 Fury point for each model in the unit.
Yeah, so actually that gets you up to 6 initially.
Yeah, but you're probably going to cast Howler next round first turn. So, anyway, so like, even if you only have 4 Fury and you use 1, you're still looking at a 7-inch radius. So 7 inches from the model gives you like a 15-inch bubble.
Now, is that any model in the unit, or the models that are inside of that bubble that are affected?
Every model that's in the bubble.
Okay, so if you have a unit of like 6 guys and 2 of them are inside the bubble, but the other 4 are not, then only the 2 that are in the bubble are affected, or how does
I believe that's correct. Yeah, friendly faction models within the bubble. Okay, it's by each model.
So you kind of want to be, well, at least while you're advancing, it does really.
You want to have everything in the bubble. Like, the only reason you would ever want to take stuff out of the bubble is if you have to like charge something.
Okay, but I mean, that being said, that brings your warders up to default armor 18 or 19. Then if they're hit, 21.
Yeah.
And the champions get up to 22.
20.
Unless they take or they get hit.
No,
or unless that defense.
It's 16 plus 2 for defensive lines. So
right, 16. Yeah. So you've got 21 armor, 28 boxes each, and they're tough.
Yeah.
Like, and the Krielstone unit isn't expensive. It's like 4 points.
Yeah. For the 16s.
And worth probably twice that. Like, they're just amazing.
Legion players, take note, and anyone else who has this particular thing. If you have a Forsaken with the, I forget what the ability is called.
I can't remember what it's called, but basically what it does is it allows you to remove all of the Fury points on a Forsaken, and any enemy models within that range take a POW 6 or POW 8 damage roll.
Plus an additional
plus
die.
An additional die for every Fury on or focus on the model within that range.
The important thing is that ability is not an attack. It is a special action, and as such, the Krielstone is not able to use self-sacrifice to prevent itself from being horribly obliterated by it.
And Krielstone cannot take, 8 dice worth of damage and survive unless
it rolls tough.
Yeah, you can get a lucky tough roll, but that's a dicey option at best. But it happens.
It's quite literally dicey.
Oh god, that wasn't even.
Wow.
That wasn't even intended, but I'll take it.
Steve, you're fired.
You can't fire me. Only I can fire me.
You should fire yourself for that abomination of punitude.
See, that's why I'm not a good leader, because I'm not going to fire myself.
Fair enough. It's also worth noting that the Krielstone unit is also fearless.
Yeah. So yeah, that would be a good use of a Forsaken. Mm-hmm. That being said, if you whiff it, you're just going to get railroaded immediately after. So
and that's a fairly specific example, but I feel like with the Krielstone mirror being as strong as it is, that's something that's worthwhile to note.
Yeah. I guess the other thing though is let's say you do make that tough roll, you have to spend the turn getting back up.
Well, you have to forfeit your action or your movement, but it's not an action to use a protective.
It's not?
No, it's just during this model's activation.
Okay, forfeit my action. I won't attack anybody with this Krielstone barrier.
Yeah. Well, his ridiculous no weapon to do anything with.
Yeah. Well, fair. And I mean, the thing is with these boxes, a lot of people tend to get excited over the big fat Warjacks and the War Beasts and the bigger models. To me, this box is exciting for the heavy infantry and the Grissel's disgusting as well. She's just so good with what's in the box.
It's also worth noting that every model in this box is fearless, so you're completely immune to terror and abomination checks.
I believe Grissel is not.
Yeah, Warlocks are fearless by nature.
Okay.
As are War Beasts.
That being said, it does also come with 2 heavies. I guess the only argument against having heavies in this kind of list is instead of one of the heavies, you could have another unit of warders.
But I think it's correct to have 2 heavies in this list for 2 reasons. For fury management, because you need ability to generate fury and also have transfers available, and because you're already spreading out your force into like 10 infantry models that are really hard hitters, and then like another 6. So it's important to have some more force, like some strong pieces that don't take up as much space in the bubble.
That's true.
You need to have at least some maneuverability. In addition, the Mauler's Animus is nuts, and like I would personally maybe rather see like an Axer in here for than the Blitzer, because its Animus is also nuts.
Okay, yeah,
but
that's right.
Like having the extra animi is very valuable to Warlocks.
True. Well, why don't we take a look at what the Mauler does here?
Okay, well the Mauler is a lot like any other double open fist jack or beast that you'll find across the world.
Actually, with so much more.
Whoa, so much more. So he has the typical chain attack, grab and smash.
That's actually not that typical.
Well,
some things do have.
Okay. From what I've noticed, most of the double open fists have that because they can just grab and smash.
Yeah.
Grab and smash. So if this model hits the same model with both its initial attacks with this weapon, after resolving the attacks, it can immediately make a double hand throw, headbutt, headlock, weapon lock, push, or throw power attack against that target. So it's a pretty versatile move. And I mean, while his fists only look like power 16, you know, when you first look at it,
they're so weak.
They're so weak. But no, I'm not saying they're so weak. I'm just saying,
I was doing a thing to assist your.
And then he has his Animus, which is Rage, which is essentially +3 strength. So take your 2 plus or power 16s and make them power 19s, and suddenly it's hitting like 2 KO jacks.
Oh, but then with Grissel,
it's important to know that Rage is a target-friendly faction model.
Yes.
And can be cast by the Warlock.
Yes.
So not only can you drop it on yourself like it's hot, or drop it on Grissel like she's hot, Grissel can drop it on a Troll Warder if she feels like it, or on the other War Beast if she feels like it.
Well, and the big thing about the Mauler too is like, in addition to that, so his Animus is bananas. He's got 2 open fists, which is nice. He's relatively high power especially when you consider that. So he gets up to 19 there. And he's also can be affected by her stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So then he can get up to what? Her calamity thing is +2. So that's potentially 21 POW. And then
also an extra attack if it's on feet turn.
Yeah. On top of all of that, he's one of the very few War Beasts or Warjacks that start off with 5 Fury.
He's a Fury 5 War Beast.
Yeah.
There are no Warjacks that have Fury.
Oh, that's true.
Or are able to have 5 focus.
Okay.
The Avatar can get up to 4.
Yeah, but not 5.
That's true.
The Mauler also has 2 methods of self-healing, which is regeneration, which is just at the start of its activation.
It's
any its activation. Roll D3 and it heals deal.
It has to be forced to do that, so it spends a Fury, but it's got Fury 5.
Yeah.
So.
And then it also has snacking. So whenever it boxes a model or kills a model,
he's practicing snacking, right?
Kills a living model, it gets to heal D3 points again. So it's a very durable model with the ability to heal itself, and also has the ability to make itself and other things very powerful.
How much Fury does the Animus take? Like, how much does it cost?
2.
Okay, so Grissel could actually throw it on Calamity and throw that onto the Mauler. Mauler could potentially, then feed, I guess. Mauler goes in with 5 free Fury and POW 21, and there's nothing in the game that can take that.
Now the only downside is that the Mauler is about average troll speed, which is not very fast, and it also lacks reach. So, I mean, like, he's not going to get anywhere super fast, but, I mean, if he gets to something, it's going to get mauled.
He's got above average mat at least.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
If you get in there, you shouldn't have to spend the extra point to hit, but.
But I mean,
even if you don't want to, like, if you hit with the first 2 attacks, headbutt, you're knocked down. Now I hit automatically.
Yeah.
Suck it.
And he's how many points? What, 9, 10?
9. He is 9 points.
Yeah. So he's not even that expensive for.
He's fairly standard for, like.
He's one of the staples.
Reasonable heavies.
Well, one of the staples.
Yeah. I think any troll player would.
You should probably have a Mauler.
Probably Mauler.
The Animus is too good.
Because it's really good.
Is disgusting.
Would you like +3 strength? Here's +3 strength.
And I mean, it's synergizes with all of the things she can do, and the problem with this box when you're facing against it is, like, what do you focus on?
Krielstone.
Yeah.
But I mean, that shouldn't be an option.
No,
Unless you're playing Siege and you can foxhole things that are in the way.
This is once again the Menoth conundrum of where do I start peeling the onion?
I disagree. I think with Menoth it's a lot more clear. You know what you're supposed to target
But
first.
it's way in the back.
But like with this army, it's like everything's super threatening.
See, I disagree with both of you. I think that in this army, it is very clear what you need to kill first. It's just impossible to kill it. With
Grissel?
No, well, sure. I was going to say the Krielstone, but yeah, Grissel works. I would say that, like, in Menoth, it can be very confusing, especially for newer players, to know what they're supposed to attack first. Because, like, yeah, okay, the choir provides buffs, but they're not the ones that are stopping you from getting to places. They're not the ones that are making your dudes immune to knockdown.
Fair enough. And so the last model in the box, and debatably the weakest of the models in the box, in terms of synergy or in terms of overall, is the Dire Troll Blitzer. Now, when I say the weakest, I don't actually mean like he's got the lowest power or anything like that. Historically, at least in our discussions, we've valued the Blitzer fairly low. And then we started talking about it, like what the Blitzer's actually capable of, and we started thinking, well, maybe it's not actually as bad as we think it is.
It's still not great.
So, okay, well, one of the things, so it's standard for troll stats. It's only Fury 4. See how now we're spoiled?
Well, Fury 4 is fairly standard for heavy.
Yeah. It's got POW 15, open fist, same deal. And it's got a dude standing on top with a gun. Now the gun's rate of fire 1, POW 13, but can make
D3 shots
D3
with
shots.
rapid fire.
Yeah, so one of the interesting things is it's Animus is repulsion, so it's not an awesome damage buff like that one, but it is fairly good utility. So it's only self-cast, and enemy models that are currently within 3 inches or 2 inches of this model are immediately pushed 3 inches directly away from it. Now the interesting thing about that is if you get swarmed on Grissel and you survive, you can then cast the Blitzer's Animus, push everything away and get the hell out. So it's helpful.
Or pushing them in, or if you survive a caster assassination, push
Exactly.
the caster in and charge.
Or also knock people away from objectives.
That too.
You score points.
Yeah, so points are good too. He's got snacking, he's got regeneration, same thing. I think all of the heavies for trolls.
I think
that
they
can
all have
think of
regeneration. I'm not sure they're all snacking, but I'm pretty sure they all have regeneration.
Now, one of the cool things is he does have Virtuoso.
Virtuoso is important.
Yes. So they can make range attacks and melee attacks in the same as their initials.
In the same activation.
In the same activation. So what that means is that although he only has 4 Fury, if he charges into something with his melee attacks, he gets his 2 melee attacks plus D3 range shots as his initials.
Because he also has Gunfighter, allowing him to shoot while he's in melee.
Yeah. So you could potentially get 5 initial attacks before you've spent any Fury.
It's important to note though the gun is only POW 13.
Yeah, POW 13.
Yeah.
That's still pretty high though. I mean, well,
isn't the rat also piss poor though?
No,
that matter the same.
It's the
So no, not necessarily. But that's the thing. Like, so if you compare the Mauler, okay, he's got 5 Fury, he's got 2 attacks. 5 Fury and 2 attacks is basically the same as 3 attacks and 4 Fury, except you have more control over what you do with the Fury. In terms of like how many.
They also
attacks
hit harder.
Well, yeah, okay, but we're talking about him under buffs as well.
Right. Okay, but like you could put rage on this guy, and he still hits not as hard.
No, that's true. He's like one POW less.
No, he's 1 POW less on his melee attacks.
And considerably less
His
power.
3 ranged attacks are extremely weak in comparison.
That's true. That being said, I mean, if you let's say you charge into like a heavy and you mow the back line of infantry down.
Yeah, I mean that can
with
be
your gun. It
can be reasonably useful.
Also, the same tactic I used on Typhon when I was playing him in Legion. You charge something and then breathe or make your range attacks against the Warcaster.
You still have to be able to see in that case. So whereas with Typhon you can breathe through things, and this you still have to. Well, I mean, I guess Typhon still had to be able to see, but yeah.
Well, 3 hits is easy. But the point is, it opens up in other options that you wouldn't have had otherwise.
With no eyes.
Obviously he's not quite as powerful as the Mauler. He doesn't bring you an Animus that's as strong, I would say, overall. But I don't think he's as bad as we were giving him, like as the crap we were giving him earlier.
I just think he's unimpressive compared to what else the trolls have for beasts.
Maybe.
I agree with that statement.
Maybe.
Like Earthborn Dire Troll, any of their light trolls are all interesting and they're all more interesting than the Blitzer. I mean, the Blitzer has its place.
I'd say the Impaler's kind of a bad fit for this box, but yeah.
So, but I mean, like, it is worth noting that he's one of the only other 9-point options.
Yeah.
Like the Earthborn is 10.
Yeah.
The Bomber even is 10 from the same box.
And you know, for me, if I were to, let's say we were going to reorganize how we did the 35 points, I would drop the Blitzer, I would take an Axer, and I would upgrade, or I'd get the Krielstone Berries away.
You'd still have some points left over.
Axer 6.
Yeah.
And then Yue's
1.
Oh, he's only 1?
Yeah. Yeah.
So 7. So you'd have 2 points. There's probably a
solo.
Yeah, there's definitely a solo you could put in.
But that's a Trollkin Skinner or something like that?
Swamp Gobbers, they're always
Swamp
one.
Gobbers are also only 1 point.
No, you want Whelps.
You don't really need the Fury Management so much in this
No,
list,
not the
though.
Fury Management, but the maybe for healing is nice. Whelps aren't bad. But yeah, I mean, that being said, I wouldn't feel bad about playing in the box either.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with the rest of the list. The list is disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
I think you want to use the Blitzer more creatively though.
Absolutely.
Try and get like the surprise vectors out with the range attacks.
I think the Blitzer in this particular list is most useful for using its gun to clear charge lanes. To be honest,
Fair.
you have virtually no other range presence in the list. So if your opponent screens properly with like even Stormguard, for example, he can block the charge lanes, especially to your heavies that he wants to take. So having the Blitzer around to like peg some of them off isn't a terrible thing.
Now the important thing though is, do you have to charge before you shoot? Because those are part of your initials.
Yeah. I mean, well, you don't have to charge if you don't want to.
No, but like, let's say you wanted to get in your melee attacks as well as get the gunshots off. You have to charge first.
You could make your ranged attacks first, but you would have to make your charge movement.
Okay. Oh, okay. Well, I see. So you charge, make the range attacks first.
You may have to do your charge attack first, but then you could buy additional attacks after you do your ranged attacks.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So I mean, in an ideal circumstance, assuming that this situation presents itself, you charge like a heavy and then try and clear out charge lanes.
If you could do that, I feel like it. You could also charge one of your own models in the ass and get extra distance with your gun in that way. Like you could charge like a Krielstone, like a Stone Scribe. That's like I don't need it anymore. Whatever. A Krielstone Bear is fine, and just get an extra 8.5 inches up. Probably kill the Stone Scribe, but who cares?
Yeah, but then that gives your ranged attacks like an effective 18-inch range. And if your enemy then concentrates on killing the Blitzer, you have everything else in the army as well.
Yeah, if your enemy concentrates on killing the Blitzer ever, unless your Mauler is already dead, then they deserve a braining.
Well, no, actually, I think against this list, there could be something to be said for killing off the heavies first, because then that's really impacts.
I'm just saying, so Mauler is the more important heavy to kill.
Yeah. So I don't think it's bad. I just don't think it's as stunningly impressive as the Mauler or as the Earthborn Diatrol. Earthborn Diatrol is also just.
I agree.
Just so ridiculous by itself, but
or you could just go all out and drop 2 more points and just get mauled and just not care about anything.
I think the Mauler is worth keeping though.
Oh no, I'm always definitely worth
keeping. The thing is,
keeping.
Maul fills the same kind of role as the Mauler. Like they're melee beat dude.
Yeah. Well, they work better in combination.
Sure. Well, yeah, but
give Maul range.
Yeah.
I think more range.
I think for this style of army though, where you're really trying to get the most out of having a whole bunch of really tough high wound models, you don't really want to be dropping. Like, what are you going to drop for Maul?
Yeah, I don't think there's actually room to
no, not on this list. Not on this
list. Not at
35.
I think 35 is too tight.
I just really like Maul. Okay,
I think it's a very well done 35-point list.
I would tend to agree.
I mean, okay. See, personally, in this list, I would still rather have Blitzer Mauler than double Mauler.
You think so?
I think so, because you already have the Animus. This gives you another option, a way out in case you get swarmed on your caster, and it gives you a possible ranged option that you don't have anywhere else. Like
Fair enough.
It's utility. It's not powerful utility, but it is something, and it's still a heavy. I mean, it's not like it's crap. It's just it's not as good as the Mauler in terms of like punchiness.
It's a random question. How many points are Warders?
Warders are 8 points.
Oh, 8 points.
Right. So you could drop the Blitzer for another unit of Warders and the UA.
Well,
yeah,
but then you wouldn't be able to generate all of your Fury if you needed it. I was going to say...
That's true, but you're close.
I was going to say, in moving to 50 points, you could go plus Earthborn Diatrol and Janissa Stone Tide, cut that guy for another unit of Warders, and then you have 2 points left to use on... Oh, and throw in the UA, and then you have 1 point left to throw on whatever.
Yeah, that's probably not bad. In fact, that's pretty close to the actual, like, legit 50-point tournament list for MMM. I think the liabilities in this list, if you're playing, if I was playing against this list, I would definitely try and find a way to deal with the stone scribes, because that'll make everything easier to deal with. And I would probably concentrate first on the heavies for 2 reasons. First off, they're faster than, well, they're as fast as the champions. They're faster than the warders.
Well, they are, but you'll probably have Grissel giving the warders the call to make them move more at the end of their activation.
Fair.
Which actually makes them pretty fast, because then they run 8, move another 4.
That's true. But I would still probably try and deal with, if I was presented the opportunity, warders first, Blitzer or Mauler first, and then Blitzer, because then you significantly impact what Grissel can do.
Right.
But then you're still staring in the face of like 10 models that can dish out a crazy amount of punishment.
Against this list, I would focus on its relative lack of mobility, as like you sort of went over.
Yeah.
As like I think that's the only weakness I can really identify in this list, is that it is relatively immobile and it has no real shooting presence.
Yeah.
So if you have a way to outmaneuver them, to score on objectives, to push people away, like we're going to go over the Krix box in a little while, and Denegra's feet can cripple this army.
Yeah,
a turn of not being able to move your piddly little movement is pretty.
Are there any like do any of the factions or do any of the casters in the game specifically, like, do they like is there anyone that hates on tough and just rips it away?
I don't know about casters, but there are definitely tough removing abilities.
Yeah. Okay.
Those exist. The thing is, though, is like, even if you were to remove tough from all of the trolls, this list is still incredibly difficult to deal with.
Yeah, tough is I would say tough is the least of the problems.
It's the last piece.
Right.
It's the last piece, the last line they have, and it's just something that has to be.
No, fair enough.
I think that also, like for example, the Signar box on Siege's feet turn, you have a reasonable chance of dealing with a lot of the trolls, because whatever, but my armor is like 20 by default, but now it's only 12.
Yeah, that's true.
And that sounds like weird math, except Siege only reduces base armor, I believe. So the bonuses to be after. And in that case, you also have like gun mages that can push back the Mauler.
That's the thing. It's not that other armies don't have tools to deal with it. It's just like they have to have the tools to deal with this army. Whereas this army doesn't really give a crap as to what you do.
When you're playing this list, you kind of just walk forward until you hit things and they die.
Yeah.
It's kind of a bulldozer.
Yeah, absolutely. That being said, I mean, I'm so excited to play this list. Like, I love the models. I'm not a big fan for Trollbloods, the faction. I'm not a big fan of the small infantry.
Yeah, I wouldn't be.
The one-wound infantry, like the Fenblades are kind of neat.
They're pigs. I guess the
Fenblades are okay. But like for me, the real infantry, the real meat and potatoes.
Fenblades are still on medium bases, aren't they?
Yeah, but they're only one-wound models.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's what I meant. Sorry. And same thing with I guess those are medium base as well. But for me, it's like the multi-wound medium base models are like really they epitomize trolls very well.
This is one of only 2 factions that really uses like heavy infantry to a large degree.
And the thing is, like, especially in our area, perhaps maybe I don't know if it's global or whatever, but it seems that the meta is kind of shifting towards heavier, harder to deal with things, and less about just swarming things.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's kind of subjective, because obviously we don't have much tournament knowledge, nor do we have much knowledge about the entire playing field.
We're the best at the game. We know everything.
But I just feel like, when I'm playing the game, and somebody drops something like that against me, I'm concerned. Like, now I'm going, well, what the fuck am I going to do? Whereas a lot of other things that are threatening, they don't have the resilience, so you don't have to concentrate so badly on killing.
Well, I mean, like you take something like a Death Jack, and Death Jack is scary as hell, but you throw a heavy at him, he's probably dead.
Yeah, exactly. You throw a heavy at a unit of warders, and your heavy's dead.
Well, I mean, the heavy probably kills 2 warders.
Maybe.
It depends, but
that's the thing. Like, and then in return you take dead. Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe again, this is all kind of subjective right now, or conjecture, because we haven't played this box yet. So maybe when we play this box, when we start playing against all of the other boxes, we'll find things that just didn't work out how we thought. I mean, aside from being slow, they are susceptible to things like cloud effects. They can't, they've got no range game really. Blitzer is your range. If Blitzer's your range game, you've got no range game.
Yeah.
I feel like just like the simplicity of the list, like it's great for a player to start with, but it could easily become a crush And just bulldozing, because if you're just playing randoms or if you're playing a tournament, say you just happen to play against the right players that don't have the list to deal with your list, and you just bulldoze them, and you don't learn anything because you're just winning by punching things in the face.
That's true. Although the list doesn't win on its own. Like it is a simple list to play, but we're oversimplifying.
That's true.
Like you can't literally just walk forward and win everything.
Obviously not. But
yeah, no. But I feel like you have a good point.
I feel like it's a great list to start with, but a player might want to branch out to some other pieces or some other casters to better learn the intricacies of the game.
Yeah, I think this box will teach you very well how to maneuver heavy infantry in a rather small formation, and that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not the most complicated.
Spacing too, because all of your models are larger than most. All of your infantry are medium base rather than small base.
And the thing is, the things that are going to punish this box are going to punish them really hard. Like, if you've got the Avenger, for example, great jack to work against this box. You're like, you have to be tightly clumped up. Okay, here you all get hit because you're low defense, and now you're all knocked down.
Yeah, knocking down the champions with that, especially because the champions are going to be base to base with their defensive line.
And then that, I mean, you're generally not going to try and charge him with the one champion that happens to not be on his ass. That really screws with your plans. And the thing is, like with this box, I think that's once you've played a few games, you're going to have to try and figure out how to work around things
absolutely.
like that, because those are going to cripple your plan.
Yeah.
In that way, I think you'll learn a lot about having to make the most out of what you have. But that being said, it is compared to a lot of the other boxes, it is very straightforward, which is good for a lot of new players and because it's funny. But you may, I mean, when you get to 50 points and you start branching out, that'll be where you'll be able to take tools to deal with the things that can deal with your army.
And I mean, also at that point, it'll be the thing is though that your enemies will have more tools to deal with you.
Yeah.
Also.
That's true. The interesting thing I think about this box will be to see how it performs against all of the other boxes, because we know at 35 points you're fairly limited in what you can take. You take a lot of core stuff, and then that's basically it. Some of these boxes have tools like the Avenger to deal with these things.
Right. Well,
Avengers and Gun Mages. I think that the Signar box actually has a pretty good game against this. But then some of them don't, and I don't think it'll be a steamroll, but it'll be interesting to see how those go.
No, I was just gonna say, like, seriously, like 4.9 out of 5. Like in my opinion, like this is probably on paper, this is one of the best looking boxes.
I would say 10 out of Brady Bunch. Like, just super excellent.
Trolldozer.
Right. There were 9 people in the Brady Bunch, right?
I don't know.
I was thinking 10 out of 9.
I think it was 9 and then 10 plus the maid or something like that.
Oh well.
I think 72 obscure references out of 12.
Anyway. Please like, comment, subscribe.